Art. Eddie here for another sports show on this LOD Fridays, as my co-host likes to say. John Finkel, what's up, sir?
Oh, you stole my line. Everything's good till that. Now I don't know what to say. I'm flummoxed. So good to see you, everybody. Welcome.
Oh, I love it. And he's got a great new haircut for our Facebook Friday. I love it.
Done it myself, by the way. That is a LOD hack.
Really?
Cutting my own hair since college, yeah.
Nice, man. A lot of great hacks by this guy on not just messages on fatherhood in general. You should check out his articles at Life of Dad, but a lot of great things. Go to johnfinkel.com. Today, we want to know where you're watching from and weigh in this topic. We want to know, why do you want your kids to play sports? Obviously, probably for, getting exercise and all that, but for sometimes it's like character building, team building, learning how to work with others. And also too, like for me, like I want my kids to try something new, struggle at it, fail at it, and then be excited when they actually, perform well. Like my daughter played basketball. I was like an assistant coach. She was having issues like, I'm not scoring, blah, 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 this and that. And then all of a sudden the smile from ear to ear, she was beaming like a few games in, she made her first basket. It was fantastic. So I'm guessing your kids have the same kind of reaction, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want them to be losers. I mean, that's really it. I'm just kidding. Now, when you think about it, like, I'm joking, everybody. I'm joking. But, like, I think there's a thing, especially if you're watching the Life of Dad sports show, it's that you want your kids to experience the fun stuff that you experienced. And to me, like so many of my great memories, and whether it's teamwork, camaraderie, just good times, involve sports. And I'm sure there are loads of parents who just have an opposite, it's music or it's art or whatever, and that's fine. But we're the Life of Dad sports show. And so to me, one of the things I've always looked forward to, even one of the reasons I wanted to have kids, was to, share all your life experiences, and sports happens to be a big part of them. And it is the teamwork, it is the character building, it is the overcoming the odds. I actually think I wrote a piece for Life of Dad last year on the first single my son got, which was like 8 games into the season. Like it just wasn't happening for him in Little League. And it wasn't so much that he was good at that point. It was, he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to go. He didn't like it. He didn't like it. He got the single. He felt that feeling of accomplishment. And remember, he bent down and kissed the bag, like after one single, because for him, it was a home run. And I know there's other things you can get that in, whether it's learning an instrument or whatever it is, but it's such a visceral life experience to have. I want my kids, even if they don't end up playing high school sports, to have those moments where they overcome things and learn skills and physical skills.
Love that. Yeah, like I said earlier, check out all of his great work at Life of Dad. Just search John Finkel. Kind of what you said right here. Jason weighs in, and I appreciate that. Watching from Toronto, thanks for doing that. But try to get my eldest into sports, but she seems to like dance, which is all good and not really competitive, but at least it's active. And then she's starting an introduction to martial arts next week. And I am taking your advice. We did the martial arts episode. I'm now getting a few of the martial art classes down. Like I kind of weeded them down, and they're going to be into it. I got them kind of like I didn't want to force them into it, but now like after a couple of talks, they're like, yeah, we'll try it.
Well, so it's funny. Like yes. I have no idea. And nobody knows. Everybody's kids are different, and I can't even conceive of why my daughter likes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's 6.5 years old. She doesn't like soccer. She likes swimming. She seems to be enjoying that. She's tried every other sport, and we talked on the martial arts episode, which people should check out in the archives because it was very popular and a great discussion. But I had her, I thought about it. We drove by it a few times, and I said, "Do you want to try this? It looks fun. Like you like acting. You like acting, like being active. You like wrestling. You like learning things like." She hated the first 2 classes, and now that was 4.5 months ago. She got her 3rd stripe last week. She loves it. I don't know why. She's not even adept at it yet, but she loves it. She looks forward to it. We go Tuesdays and Thursdays. I couldn't tell you on an essay of why my daughter likes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but she does, and I'm just happy she likes something. And if it happens to be that, and she does it for 10 years or 5 years or just something that she's active twice a week, I'm thrilled.
Love it, man. Also, too, Patrick weighs in on this, and I think this is so true. Good lesson of life. There are some winners and there are some losers. Be prepared for both.
Mm-hmm.
So true. I know we've talked about the whole idea of like winning and losing, and we had D'Angelo Williams, former NFL player, talk about he was helping his daughters. He was watching his daughter at like a spirit event where they were doing all these like Olympic style games and all that. And then like she got a ribbon for a second or third. He's like, "Why are you getting that? You didn't first, get first. Give it back." And then the next event she gets first and grabs the medal. See what I did, Dad?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I think the other lesson inside the winners or losers thing is there are kids who are, in terms of sports, sometimes genetic winners, right? Like there's kids who right now, are your kid's age, whatever kids your age are, who are just a foot taller, or no matter what happens, they're just that much faster, or they naturally dribble a basketball, or they naturally do some of these things. And I think when you look at the life skills that kids are going to come into contact with, if you just talk about running a race, and you're talking about doing track, you're talking about doing basketball, your kid's gonna cross kids no matter what they do. They're not gonna be gifted. It's not gonna come easy. Maybe they might beat them down the line, but it's just the idea that it's not gonna come easy for them. And other things, kids are just have an innate ability to do certain things. I mean, look at Shaq's kid, right, who just committed to UCLA. Like that kid looks like he could be in the NBA right now. And I'm sure there were kids who went up against him when he was 6 and were like, "What am I supposed to do against Shaq's kid?" It's a good lesson though, because you'll find out you're better at other things within that sport or other sports when you can't compete with those people.
Yeah, you do. This is why you're the co-host of this show, man. You get it, and you live everything by what you're saying. Not only with your kids, but sweating by 6 and all the other good things. You're always like just getting things out there and what sports can do for you, just mentally, emotionally, and physically on so many great levels. I love Christian here, like saying for fitness enjoyment and social development. We're seeing a lot of things here. I think where was it? I don't want to skip over it, but I'm kind of like going through the comments as people can read. But they said, Nick says, so they will learn skills, coping, teamwork, decision making. Decision making is huge right there for me. And it sounds stupid, but like I remember when I was on my 8th grade basketball team, I did a couple of things. I'm like, what was I thinking? But at that moment, you're in that, the moment like you had a turnover. Like, why did I throw right there? It was so like telegraphed. But then failure is the best teacher, I think, and you learn from your mistakes and you think about it because you're like, I want to get better. And that's like instantaneous because you can go back, practice on the court with your dad or your mom or whatever, or your friends. And then for the next game, you're ready and like, all right, mentally, I'll be more prepared that maybe I do a pump fake and get someone, commit or something like that. I know it's a stupid example, but I still remember that point in 8th grade where that happened. We were playing like a playoff game or whatever. And I threw it. I'm like, why am I doing this? But it still stays with you and you learn from it. And I think that's a huge life lesson.
Yeah, it is. And the things that's awesome is that like you learn the kids, especially young kids, learn to think ahead. They learn anticipation. They learn the consequences of sort of harmless actions, right? It's like, okay, so if you don't go cover second base on that play, the guy slides into second. That's why, when there's a ground ball, you race back to the bag, because if you get beat there, that happens. And when you don't get the out and your kid throws a glove on the ground and is like, we didn't get the out, you can say to him, look, here's a perfect real world example. This is why you prepare. And I think preparation, it's one of those things that, Coach Wooden and all these guys always talk about, but it's so big because even so far as like what they do in jiu-jitsu, where it's like when you come in, you bow before you get on the mat, you grab your card, which is your rate card of where you're at, and you stand in line on your spot where you're supposed to go in order of where your thing is. Your parents cannot do any of that for you. Even if we're running late, you still do. The kids are still expected to go through their routine, and it's like sometimes they don't, or their belt's not tied the certain way, and they're like, well, we're not gonna, you're not engaging until you didn't bow when you came on, you didn't do this, and they have to understand there's an order of things. And sports are they're just a great microcosm to teach that whether it's, studying, there's an order of how you want to go about it, making an outline for a project, there's an order about how you want to go about it. And I think that's where it's just huge.
Yeah, man. Love that. And that's the thing, like what you said right there, not having the parents do things for them, let them learn on their own.
Oh God, that's the worst. You've coached, I've coached. One of the most difficult things. Oh, Sean Kingbird, my favorite last name is back. He's right. Humility and humbleness. Like you kids can't learn to be humble unless they get mocked for being cocky, and they can't learn to have humility unless they see other kids getting upset when they win, and they can't learn to have humility unless they go against somebody who's that much better than them. And sports just allow those things to happen on an emotional and physical level. Whereas I'm sure you could find parallels in other things, but for that age, what are you really going to find that allows them to have those experiences?
Yeah. Christian Lee weighs in. He has a good channel, Dad So's. Check it out. And he also has a lot of cool things on Facebook Live with him and his son. They kind of do like an after school special. Check that out.
Oh,
But he
cool.
says anything that they're interested in, I want to encourage them to try.
Yeah.
Also, it's okay to fail at things. So,
Yep.
I mean, you and I are big Michael Jordan fans. And
Yeah.
it's that one commercial from Nike where he's going through like the locker room or like going to the locker room. And he's like, I missed over so many shots. I, did this. Turn like, he's like, but that's how I succeed. And like, I'm getting goosebumps. And I know it's cheesy, but I love that because it's so.
Well, I spent a lot of time, like, we've had Sean on too, who interviews athletes, and we're like, they'll remember the game winners and they'll remember the titles. But if you really want to have a long conversation with a professional athlete, start talking about the failures. They will literally remember everything that built up to it, what happened, why, how to use it as fuel for certain things. And that's where that character building comes from, because the next time they fail, they realize it's not that bad. And it doesn't have to be failing from one sport to another sport. It can be failing, I don't know, a driving test. It's not the end of the world, It's how you get up and move on. And as Andrew's writing here, like, whatever they try, that's awesome. And if they fail at it at that age, it's actually kind of equally awesome.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, like, just besides the fitness, like life lessons. And my 6-year-old loves drag racing. She's 6 years old and helps me all the time working on my car, and she's natural with tools and cars. I mean,
wow, yeah,
this is amazing. This is how you bond with your kids. And a lot of people are saying, like, and I love this too, they're like not forcing them that their kids, maybe like, hey, you should just try it. And if you don't like it, fine, all right, you do something that the next year or the next season, whatever, but just try it and see how it goes. And I think that's a great bonding experience, because who hasn't, like, after a game or something, maybe, played catch with your, daughter or son, or shot a few extra hoops, or said like, hey, maybe we should work on dribbling or this or that. And to see them like practice out in like your front yard or the driveway, like, look, I'm learning like both hands, or I'm learning how to do this and that. And you're like, yes. And then there's, you always want your kids to keep on learning. Not only is school great for it, but like, the ball field is also great for it too,
Yeah, and the thing that's good about that is, as a parent, it's not like we're innocent bystanders. Like, you want to see your effort helping, and the first time you do come home, and especially pick it. Well, you should mention basketball with hoops. Like, the first time that you work on something, and your kid on their own like walks up to you with the ball and says, "Can we go work on my left hand?" You kind of have that swell of like, okay, they're starting to get it. If you want to get better dribbling with your left hand, you have to actually go outside in between your practices and put the time in dribbling with your left hand. And I think, to me, when you get to that point, it's like this massive hurdle that they understand. It's not forced. We're like, all right, you have to be a better reader. We want you to read 15 minutes a night. Well, okay. When the first time they sit there and you go upstairs and the TV's not on and they're sitting reading on the couch, you're like, they're starting to understand it. It's the same thing in sports.
No doubt. This is a great conversation. A lot of people are weighing in comments. I'm getting to them, I swear. Discipline, getting up and doing something even when you don't feel like it. This is for all you hockey moms, hockey dads, whatever the case may be, especially that sport, or like gymnastics,
swimming, hockey, the brutal ones.
Swimming, yeah. Always get up, gotta get that gym time in. So yeah, I mean, one of the things, it wasn't sports related, but in high school, I had to get up. I worked at a grocery store in a produce department every Saturday. Friday night in high school, you're having fun. But no, I went to bed early because I had to get up at 4 a.m. to be there at 5 to, make sure the new produce came in and all that other good stuff. So yeah, and you just kind of learn discipline. It's like, all right, Saturday night, I can have a blast. Friday night, maybe not so much if I'm working the next day. So again, in all facets, when you can teach your kid discipline, or when they learn it on themselves, they might be like, there's a couple times where like, I'll go see a movie, come home midnight, wake up at 4, have 4 hours of sleep, and I'm kind of dragging. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when I did high school football, the practice over the summer in the morning, and a lot of my friends' parents were like, well, you have football every day. It's, you have to get a job or whatever. But I worked construction from 7 a.m. all the way till 2:30 or 3, and then went to football practice. Now, granted, I was a horrible football player, but I don't think the construction was the reason why. But you're right. It was like, well, you do both, and you learn to, you do go to bed a little earlier if you have to. And if you have a long week, maybe that's the week that the weekend you take the Saturday and don't go do something or play ball all day. Back then you have endless energy. But yeah, the idea is always discipline for whatever it is. And even if your kid's 5, 6 years old, like, if they start falling behind their peers, and it's because they're not putting the work in, they have to figure that out on their own. And the more you force them, as any parent or coach knows, the more you force something down their throat, the less they have any interest whatsoever in doing it.
No doubt. And also, too, sports are great. Parents, not so much. Obviously, we see those horror stories of, like, parents fighting or yelling at the refs and all that. And the kids are, like, face palming, eye rolling, like that. That's not my dad. That's not my mom. But, just the fact that, I think a lot of people are having great answers. But also, too, just remember, if you're not the coach, talk to your kid after the game on the ride home. Don't, like you said, you've coached, I've coached, and you experienced that. Like halftime, I had one guy go, "Psst, hey, D," and like she turns around and like me and the head coach are like, what's going on? It's like, you gotta turn and pivot and then shoot. And we're like, I look at the head coach. I'm like, I got this. I'm like, we got this. Don't worry about it. Your tips at the end of the game.
Yeah. I think we should have a whole show on these horror stories because, I don't get it. You don't get it. I don't know what the parents get completely out of doing things like that. But like when you talk from the coaching aspect, the life lessons that kids learn in order to, from the coaches and how they actually learn from them, they also learn to rely that there's people smarter than them and that they should listen to them. And it's like, listen to coach whoever. Originally, they're like, why? They're not my dad or whatever. It's like, because they're coaching you. They know this sport, and that's why they're teaching you this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, so true. Reality Changers says that, she put my daughters in MMA a few months. Their self-esteem went through the roof. Mm-hmm. Again, we keep on talking about this, martial arts topic, but it was really good. Make sure you go back. It's also on liveofdad.com. Great discussion. A lot of people shared ups and downs and everything. And then he continued to say, now my 9-year-old easily transitioned to become part of the roller derby.
That's awesome.
That's
all right.
Just the self-esteem right there. This is so damn great.
Well, because they all go together. You get the self-esteem, you get the confidence, you get the teamwork. That's kind of like a well-rounded individual in the office, at home, at school. Like when they learn those things, they get through it all the time. And when you talk about like the life lessons kids get throughout each individual section of sports and what they carry through them as individuals, and then you look on the coach's side of what they're trying to instill in the kids. That teamwork and partnership, it's just hard to find in other things and other activities.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people, sometimes maybe sugarcoat things or maybe not say things online, but I appreciate Andrew's, and I think you appreciate it too, being honest. Whatever you do, make sure your kid is not a single sport athlete. I messed up and now I'm paying for it. I know this is going to be a few months away, but in the month of May, John and I are going to bring on Tommy John, the actual pitcher that the surgery is named for, and his son, who is a doctor, and they go around together talking about how sometimes parents get their kids to get Tommy John surgery so they can be better pitchers, and like it's not good. So let your kid be an all-around athlete. The guy over here, Bo Jackson, he was track, baseball, all these different things, football, and like I'm not saying your kid's gonna be Bo Jackson and do all that because Bo is a freak of nature. One time in a million athlete, but I'm just saying like, have them do different things, soccer, baseball. A lot of people say like, your kid, as much as you think you love, as much as you love them and you think that they might go and, play the pros, might not happen. So let them get all around, and they'll maybe find like in high school, like after a while, like, you know what? I really love soccer. I have a passion for this. Let me play fall and spring because I want to, not because a coach or not because you're telling me to. I really want to do that. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. That is cool because the kid wants,
and they have to, and they have to maintain some level of autonomy over what they want to do. They have to maintain a level of having their different groups of friends. Maybe they're not as dominant in the main sport that you think they, might forget pro. Maybe a lot of parents now at least dial it back to a college scholarship. But like, a couple of times, I'll use the book that I did on Charlie Ward as an example because he's an all-time great triple sport athlete. He was drafted in football, basketball, and baseball in the pros. But his dad didn't even let him play didn't let him play individualized, organized sports till he was in 5th grade. He just said, look, go play, go outside, play everything in street. Then when he was in 5th grade, he played football, basketball, baseball, swam during the summer, did track, did football, basketball, baseball through high school. So even the elite athletes who the parents know for sure, because Charlie's dad played, big time college football and could have probably played in the pros other than an injury. He knew his kid had it. But he didn't limit him at all to doing that and to to what people are writing in. If you segment them as one thing, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this sneakerhead in me has got to say thanks, John. Appreciate you checking that out.
Yes.
Just talking about the Jordan 11 right
I see. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we need to do one where all we do is show shoes all day.
So like the 1% of people who
Yeah, Air Force Ones we got. Let's go through all of them.
Nice, man. Yeah, you were again. People follow him. Like, not only is he a great like guy for sports, but like motivates me. Sometimes if I don't want to get out in the gym, I check Instagram kind of in the morning. I'm like, yeah, sweating before 6. As soon as I drop the kids off, I'm going to the gym and running. So, you had some awesome J's. They were orange colored, and you're talking about orange cones. So I love that, man.
Yeah, those were funny. There was 2 years, and you'd be jealous of this, that I was on the Jordan list for getting preview stuff because I was writing the sports preview column for Men's Fitness. This was 7 or 8 years ago, and they always sent them either orange or yellow, like the bright colors. And like it's this beautiful box. It's like you've gotten promo stuff, but like they really it's a Jordan thing. Anyway, I've had those forever, and I will never. Nobody understands them because you can't wear them really with stuff. But I just wear them whenever I can.
Nice, everybody. Great show, great comments. We love this. We always love the participation. We'll see you next Friday when we have a special guest, Rudy. From the actual Rudy, of course, the one that they made the film off of. We're going to be talking to him about his sports film festival that he's promoting, but also football, and just talking about his life, like, you know, compared to the movie, and talking about like different things about.
Here's a teaser. Is Rudy a good movie or not? Let's really dive into it.
Well, a lot of things. I know John's excited for that. Hope you guys are too. It's going to be at 1:00 Eastern, like we usually do, but. For John and I, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. We love these comments. Have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all later.
See you guys later.